and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Kristen Martin. I'm an Amazon bestselling author of over 10 books, a content creator, a Halloween fanatic, and a new mom. I primarily make creative lifestyle videos with an emphasis on writing routines and productivity, so if that's your vibe too, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little different because it's an interview style video. I had such an amazing chat with Lawrence O'Brien over at the International Dublin Writers Festival. We talk about mind mapping, we talk about time management, productivity, just all things writing, and there are a lot of really great tidbits and takeaways throughout our interview, so I wanted to go ahead and post it, of course, with his permission. So that is what today's video is going to be. So I'll go ahead and roll that footage and we'll have Lawrence take it away.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lawrence O'Brien from Books Go Social and the International Dublin Writers Festival. I am very pleased to have with us today Kristen Martin, who is a prolific author, but also a wonderful writing craft teacher, instructor, and course provider, and amazing YouTube person. So what we're going to do is ask Kristen at the beginning just to introduce herself and then tell us more about a mind mapping technique for working on your book. So Kristen, hello, welcome, and off you go.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I feel like you summed it up pretty well. So, my name is Kristen Martin. I'm the Amazon best-selling author of over 10 books. I mostly write in science fiction and fantasy, but I am sort of dabbling in the thriller genres as well. And as you mentioned, I do have a YouTube channel where I offer writing advice and just lifestyle advice for creatives. I'm recently a new mom to two babies, so it's been kind of a chaotic, hectic time and just trying to find my stride with writing and making time for writing. So that's kind of been a big focus on my channel and just in my content lately. But
That's wonderful, and congratulations on the
thank
new
you.
arrivals and all you're doing with all of the pressure on people who look after young children. It's amazing all that you're able to do. So just give us a little flavor of the books. You've got so many bestsellers. Just give us a little flavor of the ones that did well.
Oh, absolutely. So my debut trilogy is called The Alpha Drive, and it is, like I said, a trilogy, so it's a three-book series, and it's more of a dystopian in the dystopian genre. So I'm very, very proud of that series, and that one really was the one that first hit the bestsellers list on Amazon. And then after that, I ventured into writing fantasy, YA fantasy. And so I wrote the Shadow Crown series and actually just wrapped up that six-book series last year in October. I finally wrote book six amongst being pregnant and postpartum and all the things. So that felt like such a huge accomplishment because Shadow Crown was published in 2017. And so to finally wrap that series up in 2024 felt really good and very proud of myself. And then I sort of branched out into writing a bit more of a metaphysical fiction book. I guess it would still be in the realm of fantasy, but I would call it more speculative fiction called Beyond the Stars and Shadows. And then I have a couple of nonfiction books as well in the personal development space. One is called SOULFLOW, and it's really just aligning with your soul and like leading a soul-led life is probably the best way to put it. And then I also have another book called Be Your Own Hashtag Goals, which is one of my first self-help personal development books. And it's just talking about not comparing yourself to other people and how to really, again, get a lot of what I write is how to get in tune with yourself as an individual and your creativity and to make sure that you're not judging yourself, doubting yourself, comparing yourself to everyone else, especially on social media, because we see so much of the highlight reel. So,
Wow, that's wonderful. And I must congratulate you on your energy and your ability to put all of that together. What have you found from your self-help and writing and guides? What have you found resonates most with people, your followers?
I think just the fact that I'm showing the raw, almost like brutal, honest side of of being a writer. So I don't just focus on the wins. And of course, I like to show, the nice B-roll and all of the just the aesthetics and everything. I even have like right now, I love Halloween. I've got my little bat cup with coffee in it and, the nice like bookshelves in the background. But I also talk about the struggles and the things that are hard and kind of show especially now with the little ones, just the chaos and me trying to sit down and write and how difficult that can be sometimes. So I think a lot of it is more just being relatable to your audience.
That's wonderful. And being able to grab, do you do that thing of grabbing 10 minutes here and there, or do you get longer sessions?
Yes, it really has become about 10 to 15 minutes. So the babies are still really young and I'm able to sometimes get 30 minutes to an hour, which is those are the most amazing times when they're napping. Or if, we have a 2-year-old, so she is more independent now with her playing. And so that sometimes allows me to get a little bit more time. And then I do baby wear our 6-month-old. So I have a little baby Bjorn carrier and I wear her and I stand up and write. So a lot of it, I've had to reframe what a writing session looks like for me, what a productive writing session looks like. So I've had to reframe that to if I can steal 10 minutes here, then that's great. If it ends up being 20 minutes, that's amazing. And if it's somehow an hour, then, the universe is really on my side and I'm going to take full advantage.
That's wonderful. It's really encouraging to hear how you're coping with all of that and moving forward with your book and working on that book. So let's get to the mind mapping tactics or strategy that
Yes.
you've been putting together and you have material on. So tell us more about that.
So, mind mapping originally started as me just doing a gigantic brain dump of all of my book ideas. I feel like as writers, we can have so much going on in our minds. And obviously, as writers, we like to write things down. But then once you do a brain dump, it can be kind of overwhelming to look at that and understand how to organize it because you have so many ideas and maybe these two ideas fit together, or maybe one of the ideas should go in a different book. So it's really trying to figure out which ideas are going to go where. So I came up with kind of four key elements, if you will, to the mind mapping process. The first one is and this is kind of like if you're starting out and you don't know what you're writing, you just have this vague idea for a book and you don't really know where to start. I think it's really important to try to define the genre and the target audience first off. Because if you can say, oh, this is going to be a fantasy book, this is going to be a science fiction, this is a thriller book, this is going to be horror, I'm going to write, self-help or personal development. If you can identify that first, that's going to help you go in the right direction instead of just writing aimlessly. And along with that is your target audience. For instance, I write young adults, so I need to make sure that my characters are relatable and in that young adult age range. Whereas if you're writing for adults, obviously you would have a protagonist who is, over the age of, I think now they say over the age of 25 is considered an adult. But now we have that, the new adult audience as well. So that's kind of people who are in their 20s. So now I feel like the adult age range is shifting to 30, 30 and above. But figuring out those two things first, I feel like are really, really helpful when it comes to starting to mind map. And then, so that's kind of more of the back end a little bit, the genre and the target audience. But then I think it's really important to figure out what the theme of your book is going to be. So it's kind of like that underlying message that you're trying to convey to the reader, because again, that's going to help you figure out the ending of your book. So I always say to begin with the end in mind because it's actually a lot easier to work backwards when you're writing your book. A lot of people like to start, with the first chapter and write forwards, but I think that if you start with the end in mind, you know what it is you're working up to, you know what you're writing up to. And of course, things can change over time as you're mind mapping and outlining and as you're actually drafting and writing the book. but knowing where it's headed overall in a general sense is really going to help you draft that book without as many errors or without as many mistakes or hiccups. So I think the theme, the underlying message, what you want to convey to the reader is also really important as you're mind mapping. And then I've also kind of made a little bucket for characters. And mostly, I don't think you need to have all of your supporting characters and background characters figured out in the mind mapping stage. I really think if you can just focus on your protagonist and your antagonist, and maybe if there's a love interest or what we would call, a sidekick type character, if you can focus on those three characters and really nail down their motivations for why they're doing what they're doing throughout your story, how they're driving the plot forward. So, yeah, what their motivations are, but also what secrets they have. I feel like you don't have to map anything else out about your characters. If you can understand their motivation for moving the plot forward and why they're behaving the way they're behaving, as well as what secrets they're carrying, what things they feel ashamed of or don't want other people to know or don't want the antagonist to know, it's going to help you figure out the flow of your book so much faster. So, those are my four things: genre, target audience, theme, and then characters with their secrets and motivations.
So just remind us all again, the antagonist is the main character, correct? And the protagonist is the character they might be in conflict with. Have I got it right?
You're close. Just flip it. Yeah. So the protagonist is your, I always think pro, like pros and cons. Pro is good. So protagonist is the kind of the hero or the heroine, the main character. And then the antagonist is more or less the villain. And I always like to think antagonist antagonizing. That's how I remember.
Oh my
Little
goodness, I got it
wordplay.
wrong. I've only written a dozen novels and I'm still getting that one wrong.
Yeah. Happens to the best of us.
Okay. So thank you for forgiving me. So, okay. So it's pro again for all of us. Okay. Pro is good,
Pro.
right? Which is the main character. And antagonist is anti, which is somebody opposite the main character. Okay. So should we always have two characters in opposition to each other? How do you see that reality?
I do think that it's worthwhile to have a protagonist and an antagonist because I think that they both move the story forward in a lot of ways. And some of my favorite books are the ones where you think the antagonist is the villain and they actually turn out to be not that. So it's almost like having an unreliable narrator throughout the book. Oh, excuse me, that was my cat.
That's
She
right.
just jumped off the chair and meowed. Um, but yeah, I do think it's worthwhile to have both a protagonist and an antagonist. And even if you don't have the antagonist as a person, even if it's more of a um an indirect like experience or something, there just needs to be something that the protagonist is facing, an obstacle, a challenge, a hurdle that they're trying to overcome. That can be so. I feel like the antagonist doesn't always have to be a person. It can also be an experience or an event or something of that nature.
Or an institution, if they're
Right.
railing against big institution of some type or other, the government
Yes.
or something else, their college or something. So yes, okay, I think we've got protagonist and antagonist down. I really think it's important to have some elements of plot or some elements of planning. One of the challenges, of course, is some of the theories, and I've read a few of them, are very complex. I won't name any in particular, but you have some quite complex methodologies for devising a book. And
Mhm.
often as writers, I know I start with an idea, okay, a particular idea, and I may not have the whole plot worked out, and I get going, and then I run into problems at about page 50, where I realize I have to go back and make some changes.
Mhm.
Or sometimes I can keep going. Depends on which year it is, what's happening. Sometimes I can keep going, but I do try and bring in, and I have looked at, Joseph Campbell's myths, and various different plot structures and things like that, and all of that. But I think what you're doing is simplifying a lot of that, which makes it
Yes.
easier, hopefully makes it easier for people as they go along to have something to hand, which can keep reminding them and keep them on track. How have you found people have taken to the mind mapping idea for plotting and building a novel?
It has received so much praise, and I have had people to this day because I created this back in 2018, and still to this day I have people coming to me, emailing me saying how incredible the mind map is, how they still use it, and how it just, like you said, it keeps them focused and on task when they're writing their story. Because like you mentioned, there are so many outlining methods, and so to me this is not an outline, this is a true mind map, and it really covers the basics of your story, which I think is what a lot of us need in the very beginning. We don't need some, 50-page, really detailed outline.
So, do you put it up on the wall near you? Can you do that sort of thing? Do you recommend
Oh,
that?
I do. Yeah. So it's funny, the office, you can't see it from this side, but over here, the walls are completely blank. And so I'll have post-it notes and the mind map, and I'll kind of make a larger mind map so that way I can expand upon it. And I've done storyboarding as well. I have a lot of YouTube videos about storyboarding where I take a giant poster board and kind of do this same thing. I just break it out even more into act one, two, and three. So.
Oh, you're very good to provide that on. So, where is your what's your YouTube channel?
Oh yeah, if you just type author Kristen Martin into YouTube, my channel I think I'm the only one with the title or with the handle author Kristen Martin. So it should just pop up. Or if you type in author Kristen Martin storyboarding, I should have maybe 3 or 4 videos on storyboarding, but I have a ton on mind mapping and outlining and just writing your book, making time to write your book.
That's just amazing. Okay, I really appreciate you going through that, the basics of mind mapping, and for everybody. I mean, I pay regularly for courses and I just do to keep my techniques and tactics up to date. And one of the problems, of course, is forgetting things that you might have learned years ago. So I think it's great what you're doing and helping people build stories that will resonate. And of course, it's not a prescription, particularly to way, you can, I think, this to any book. You could apply any idea, any story you want, but just a way to make sure that you're covering all of the expected elements and all the elements that will resonate with readers and make them enjoy the book, give you good reviews, get lots of sales and all that sort of thing. So
Mhm.
before we go, is there anything else you'd like to tell our watchers and listeners?
Really just to write as often and as much as you can, and to just not be so hard on yourself when it comes to your outcome or your productivity levels. I always talk about how we're all in different seasons of life. And so, again, playing that comparison game, seeing what you see on social media, on, TikTok and Instagram and all of that, these highlight reels that everyone is posting. Don't take that too much to heart when you're thinking about your journey as a writer, because your journey is the way it is for a reason. And the best that you can do is just to make sure you are exercising that creative muscle and writing as often as you possibly can. And again, just not putting so much judgment or expectations around your writing sessions. If you write one sentence, that's great. You never know where that one sentence could launch your story to, right? So even if you only write one sentence today, that's better than not writing anything at all.
That's a wonderful thought, and I will keep that in mind myself. And I am busy making notes about your mind mapping techniques, and I will be looking at your videos. And I really appreciate you taking the time today for everybody who will be watching this. I know we get a lot of people on our channel watching it, and is really appreciate that you have taken the time and that you're doing all this, putting up your stuff on YouTube and helping people and explaining to people. Writing is such a wonderful, creative way for people to put their mind into something and then create something amazing that we can be proud of. So thank you very much for being on today. Really appreciate it. And hopefully someday we'll chat again. Thank you, Kristen.
Oh, I hope so. Thank you so much.
So that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. Again, I know it was a little bit of a different style video with it being in interview format, but I hope that you had some really great takeaways and some key insights while watching the interview. Like we talked about a lot, mind mapping. If you're interested in learning more about that, I do have a mind mapping workshop available on my website at kristenmartinbooks.com. I'll make sure to leave that link in the description box below. Next week, we will have a usual sit down type video where I'm going to share how to write a fantasy book. And then shortly after that, I'm going to have another interview series where I am actually interviewing someone. I think this is either the first time or maybe the second time that I've done this on my channel. I don't do interviews that often where I am the one interviewing someone, but in this case, it is such a good topic. I'm so excited about it. It's about dictation. So if you are interested in learning how to dictate your novel, stay tuned for that because again, that interview will be coming your way shortly. Again, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out the International Dublin Writers Festival. There are so many great tools and resources within that group and within that community, as well as the description box below for more information on the mind mapping workshop. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.